No ea e Mauri, this is Pacific Waves from RNZ Pacific. I'm Susana Suiswitki. Coming up.
There's a lot of things going on at the moment, and I feel for the people that are struggling on the ground here.
Pacific parents react to proposed social media ban also.
As soon as we were made aware of it, just made the community aware and obviously shared that concern with our Year 13 student body.
Auckland schools stamping out confession pages, and Pacifica rugby teams look to impress in Super Rugby's round 14. A number of Pacific community members in New Zealand say the government needs to invest money elsewhere instead of banning social media. Prime Minister Christopher Luxon announced that Cabinet will consider a social media ban on under-16s, despite ACT's opposition. Luxon expressed concern about the harm social media can cause young New Zealanders, believing that restricting access for under-16s will help protect kids from bullying, harmful content and addiction. Grace Viva-Ai has the story.
The announcement was made on Sunday, echoing a similar move on children and teenagers in Australia. But Pacific social media influencers have a different stance on the matter. Social media content creator and broadcaster Regan Foai, a parent himself who hosts New FM Breakfast Show, believes the government should invest in more significant issues.
It's a parent's responsibility to help their children navigate the social media world, and, if the government tell you, hey, we're putting a ban, your kids can't go on to social media, what's next after that? I do feel, though, that the money that is being put into this ban should be put into other places in this country. There's a lot of things going on at the moment, and I feel for the people that are struggling on the ground here.
Hana Matawa Inava'ai Schmidt, a mother and presenter of Blue Wave's Breaking Waves podcast, shares the view that similar initiatives are failing in other countries.
To me, it's a good thing. We're identifying that this is a problem in New Zealand and we're working towards a solution. But I think more consultation needs to be done on whether putting the investment or money into this solution will actually work and if it will provide a better outcome for our communities.
Comic artist Mikkel Mulipola, better known as Bloody Samoan, on his online platforms says it's an educational thing.
These youth are tech savvy. They will always find a workaround. It'll be like Prohibition days where alcohol was banned, but people still managed to find their way to it, right? There should be learnings about how not to take what people say online personally, to understand that the opinions of other people do not define who they are.
Green Party MP Te Anau Tui Ono says the government is out of touch.
This government has got to focus on all the wrong things. Last week I was here when they trashed all the pay equity claims, 33 of those in the bin. And so I think that's where the focus should be, making sure that we take care of everybody, making sure that we can put food on the table, people can pay their rent and that kind of thing.
Labour Party's Deputy Leader Carmel Sepuloni agrees with Luxon and is open to discussions.
Many Pacific people have paved out great spaces online for our communities. However, naturally, when young people spend more time on these platforms, the risk of unsolicited harm becomes higher. Labour is open to a conversation about banning social media for under-16s and is pleased the government listened when we said this should be a government bill.
As the government looks into banning social media for under-16s, some schools are dealing with online bullying and secret social media pages. Known as confession pages, they allow students to post highly personal things about themselves and others in an anonymous forum. They're nothing new, but at least 2 predominantly Pacific high schools in Auckland are trying to stamp them out. Rachel Hellier-Donaldson has more.
The start of Term 2 saw both Tamaki College and Tangaroa College alert their school whānau that some students were posting hurtful messages about others on Instagram pages purporting to be linked to the school. Tangaroa College Principal Chris Bean says parents reported the Tangaroa Confessions page during the school holidays.
So as soon as we were made aware of it, just made the community aware and obviously shared that concern with our Year 13 student body of our concern around that, and then sort of just was as proactive as we could be to put a stop to it.
He believes it involved just a handful of Year 13 students making hurtful comments.
It seemed to be correspondence between our senior students with each other, as I understood it to be, and so just wanted to nip it in the bud while we could, so it didn't spread to the lower levels.
Tāmaki College Tumuaki Soana Pamaka wouldn't speak to RNZ about the Tāmaki Confessions page, but in a post on the school's Facebook account, she says some very hurtful comments about students were made. Both schools are working with NetSafe to remove the pages and find those responsible. The Tāmaki Confessions page has popped up again several times since, but each time NetSafe has taken it down. In a statement, NetSafe's chief executive Brent Carey says he can't comment on the two cases due to a confidential complaint process, but NetSafe is committed to ensuring a safe online environment for everyone. RNZ has seen comments on Facebook saying the confession pages are nothing new at either college, and they're happening at other high schools and even intermediates. The Ministry of Education's Sean Teddy says cyberbullying not only causes emotional harm, it's also a serious offence. His words have been voiced.
Under New Zealand's Harmful Digital Communications Act, it is illegal to post or send digital communications that deliberately cause serious emotional harm to others. In this case, we are aware that the schools are working with NetSafe and we have offered our support if required.
Police say they're aware of the situation at both schools, but haven't received any formal reports. Chris Bean says even though the confessions pages involved older students who wouldn't be included in the government's proposed social media ban, he still backs the idea.
Yeah, look, I think it'd be a positive initiative. It'd just take away that unnecessary distraction for our young ones. It would also allow them not to feel they could communicate in such negative ways and still be hidden from who they are when they make those comments.
He says last year's cell phone ban has been positive, but that only helps in the school grounds.
The Fijian Drua and Moana Pasifika are both in action again for the 14th round of the 2025 Super Rugby Pacific competition this weekend. On one hand, the Drua will be fighting for pride and for their fans. Their hopes of making it into the top six are well and truly buried following their loss to the Blues. On the other, Moana Pasifika will be battling to secure a top six finish, their hopes still very much alive. And joining me is our senior sports journalist Elisa Tora, who's been following the teams. Bula Eliesa, the Fijian Drua will host the Western Force in their second last game of the season in Lautoka on Saturday. How important is that game for the club and what will they need to do to get a win at home?
Yes, definitely. The Drua are in a tight situation at the moment. They are out of the top six, but playing at home in Lautoka, where they have just lost 1 out of 10 games. They will be fighting to win for their fans. Western Force is not going to be easy. They gave the Drua a hiding in Perth in round 5, and they will be going into Lautoka on Saturday with their tails up and wanting also to win at Churchill Park. For the Drua, Coach Glenn Jackson says they will need to believe in themselves. He's calling on the players to have that self-belief and play according to their game plan. It is going to be a lot of physical battles up front. The tussle for the loose balls on the ground is very important. And if the Force will dominate that, then the Drua will have a big fight on their hand throughout the 80 minutes. So for the Drua to be able to get that win that they're looking for, they will need to win the forward battles, the loose balls, secure that, get into their face plays, and then allow their fast backline to utilize it, and hopefully they can score tries. The lineouts and the scrums, the two main set pieces, are going to be areas also that Drua will need to be fighting in, because the Western Force have shown that they are very capable with their lineouts and scrum. So not an easy day, not an easy game for the Drua. They can, if they want to, and if they put their focus into it and play consistently for 80 minutes.
What do you think were the major factors in the Drua's performance in the competition so far this year?
Yes, it's been a disappointing year for the Drua. Disappointing in the sense that in the last 2 years, in 2022 and 23, they managed to make the quarterfinals into the top 8. But the new season, the new series got 6 teams only. fighting for the top six. The 6 teams will qualify for that and then play off for the semi-finals and the finals, which meant that the 2 spots usually reserved for quarterfinals previously are now not available. But, speaking to that, the Ndrua have not, just haven't been able to put things together. They started well. In their first 4 games of the season, they lost by 5 points, less than 10 points in some. But then at the 5th round, when they went to Perth, they lost to the Western Force, and since then they've just gone down, and they've ended up at the 11th spot on the competition table. And one of the main things that we have seen throughout the last 13 games is that the Ndrua management, the Ndrua coaching panel have been changing their teams. Not just 1 or 2 changes, but wholesome changes being made throughout the competition. And that, in one sense, has affected the ability of their players to be understanding each other, to be building that combination on the field on the days of the game. And that is a concern, but Coach Glenn Jackson says that is something that they had worked on to try and build up for the future as well. Discipline had always been a problem, and in the last few games, they've managed to work on that and improve on it. And that is going to be an area of concern also against the Western Force on Saturday, especially with the Western Force, with Ben Donaldson, who is a great kicker. If the Ndrua give away penalties, they will be punished. And, those 2 areas are 2 of the key areas that have failed the Ndrua through the season this year.
And meanwhile, Moana Pacifica will be hosting the reigning champions, the Blues of Auckland, on Saturday evening at North Harbour. What is at stake for the 2 teams in this clash?
Yes, definitely an interesting battle, scheduled for North Harbour on Saturday afternoon. The Blues had defeated Moana Pacifica in the earlier game at Eden Park, but now Moana Pacifica has the opportunity to avenge that loss in this return game, the Battle of the Cities, they call it. Moana Pacifica looking at getting the win to gain a spot in the top 6, and the Blues already in the top 6. So important for both teams. Moana Pacifica will need to win against the Blues to set them up for a spot in the final 6. They have 2 more games to go. The Blues are already at the 5th position, and if they win, they can cement their spot in the top 6. So for both teams, they will be looking for those wins so that they can secure or confirm their spot in the top 6.
It'll be remiss of me to not bring up Ari Savea, Moana Pacifica's captain, who's played a big role in the side's performance so far. What's been the reaction from his fellow players, and how critical is his leadership for this weekend?
Yes, definitely. Adi has brought something into Moana Pacifica. His leadership, his experience, he's become an inspiration for the side. With Adi there, Moana Pacifica has changed. There's a lot of things that we can see that Moana Pacifica has improved on in the series this year compared to 2024 and 2023. The players that we've been speaking to have praised Adi just because of his leadership, not just on the field but also off the field, and the professionalism he's brought into the side, and he's able to use that to try and help lift the players. And definitely the players are lifting around him. For Moana Pacifica to get further into the competition and beat the Blues this Saturday, Adi will have to be playing his top game. And the players around him will also need to lift to match their captain's leadership and performance on the field. Adi has continually said that he's at home with Moana Pacifica, and that is something that we can see with the Moana Pacifica spirit truly alive and well, and they have done wonders. And Adi's leadership and his inspiration within the team is something that we can see really doing positive things for the team.
Yeah, you can definitely see the poly flair come through Ari. And just to wrap up our talanoa, Eliesa, can you also talk us through the rest of the matches that will be played in round 14?
Well, I guess one of the main game is going to be on Saturday, with Crusaders going to Sydney for the game against the Waratahs, and Crusaders having Scott Barrett, Will Jordan out of the team that is travelling across. Crusaders in the top 4, and they will need to win to confirm their place up there. But the Hurricanes and the Highlanders will kick it off on Friday evening here in Wellington, and then the Waratahs and the Crusaders at 9:35 in Sydney. And then after that, it's going to be the Fijian Rua taking on the Western Force, with the Brumbies and the Reds, of course, the other game on Saturday night. So all 10 teams that are playing, fighting for survival, fighting for points in the final rounds of the 2025 Super Rugby Pacific Series.
That's Pacific Waves for today. For all episodes, head over to rnz.co.nz/Pacific. We're also on Spotify, Apple and iHeartRadio. From myself and the RNZ Pacific team, tō whā soifua.